Thank you. I'm Leigh Heller, and I'm representing Maryland Right to Life.
Yeah, could you speak right into the microphone? Great, thanks.
Is that better? Throughout the last few months, as I've been meeting with members of the General Assembly, I keep hearing the same justification for supporting House Bill 1. And today I have heard it over and over and over. The justification being, these embryos are marked for destruction, why don't we use them for something good? Well, I want us to evaluate House Bill 1 and realize that once Maryland funds start funding the research on the embryos, we have an obligation to look and see what exactly is going to happen to those embryos once the research starts beginning. And I've heard so many misquotes today from our opponents, and I think we need to take a really good look at the legislation of House Bill 1 and how it's written. To begin with, House Bill 1 has defined a human embryo as resulting in a live birth. If we were to buy into that definition of human cloning as resulting in a live birth, if we were to buy into that definition, that would have us believe that human cloning does not start in the petri dish, but it starts in a labor and delivery room. I believe that this definition was intentionally changed because earlier someone asked, is the legislation different from 2005? And why it's not very different from 2005, it is very different from 2004. In 2004, House Bill 1021, which was the companion to House Bill 1 this year, human cloning was defined as the implantation or the attempted implantation of the product of nuclear transplantation in a uterus, or the functional equivalent of a uterus. Implantation is not restricted in House Bill 1. Another definition that was in the legislation for 2004 is that limits were placed on the gestation period of the human embryo. In 2004, it was mandated that an unfertilized blastocyst may not be maintained intact for more than 14 days after its first cell division. That restriction is no longer present in House Bill 1. So when our researchers start researching on that embryo that was going to be discarded anyway, House Bill 1 allows that embryo to be implanted and to gestate by their very definition until birth, because that's what they have banned. They have banned the birth of a cloned human embryo, human cloning. We've also been told that human cloning is banned in House Bill 1. Human cloning is not banned in House Bill 1. As a matter of fact, there is not one single cloning technique that is banned. There's not any technique that is banned in House Bill 1. One technique that can happen with House Bill 1 by using these donated embryos is called embryo splitting, or embryo cell nuclear transfer. And that is when we're going to take the one embryo that is left over and discarded from the fertility clinic, we're going to split that embryo in half, extract its nucleus, implant it in the donor egg, which is paid for again by the state in House Bill 1, and clone it into 2 eggs. And because we have no restrictions, we can implant it and we can gestate it up until birth. The only thing that we're mandating in House Bill 1 is that cloned embryo, fetus, that embryo that was going to be discarded from the IVF clinic can never be born. We mandate that fetus has to be murdered. You had asked earlier, may I address a couple of the questions that have been asked, Mr. Chairman?
You need to stay on the bill, and what I would like for you to do is wrap up your comments because you're about 4 minutes in. So.
Okay. I believe that when we are looking at and justifying the support of House Bill 1, we have to consider the implication of what is going to happen to that embryo that's going to be discarded. And when the state of Maryland funds make this research possible, then the state of Maryland has an obligation to see what exactly that research entails.